Now, coming to the stanza 3 of the poem Bullocky, it reads, all the long straining journey grew a mad apocalyptic dream, and he, old Moses, and the slaves, his suffering and stubborn team. Now, this whole journey of this person, which was striving journey, which was a journey full of sufferings, full of troubles, as was said in the very first and second verse of the poem, it ended into an apocalyptic dream. Why? Because he would have thought of making it a great nation, a great civilization, but then he sees that there are bad people in Australian civilization also. Now, in order to get idea about the contemporary modern civilization of Australia, you will have to read A.D. Hope. How much is he disgusted with the present scenario of the Australian civilization or society would be very much available. The accounts are there in A.D. Hope's poems, and same is the case with this person. Suddenly the dream that he had envisioned or seen once, the dream that he had seen had suddenly converted into apocalyptic. What is apocalyptic? Apocalyptic means a destruction kind of a mode, a dream that has not ended well, and it's a mad apocalyptic dream, which means that all those efforts have not yielded perhaps the best of the results. And he, old Moses, and the slaves, his suffering and stubbornty. And what is he reduced to? What is he made now? And he says he the old Moses. Now he sees Moses in him. Now that is the biblical allusion. Now again, what he does, he makes this bullock cart driver look like Moses. Now, who was Moses? Moses was a prophet, and there is this reference to a whole story. Jews before Moses were the slaves in Egypt, and when Moses became the prophet, he drew those Jews or those slaves away from Egypt, or he freed them from the tyranny of the pharaohs of the Egypt, of the pharaohs of the Egypt. And even in the contemporary times, Jews celebrate this day when Moses helped them to come out of that slavery as the Passover day. And now this person, that the bullock cart driver, he becomes a grand figure, a grand figure like Moses, who laid the foundation of this Australian culture or Australian civilization. But what is he left with? He's left with himself, with his slaves, and his sufferings and the stubborn team. These are the components that have with him, or these are the things that best suit him now. Here, what Judith Wright is doing, he is just raising the stature of the pioneers of European civilization. Referring them as Moses of their times, referring them as great men of their times, who once laid the foundation of the civilizations, which later became modern civilizations and became overpopulated cities. Coming to the fourth stanza of this poem, then in his evening camp beneath the half-light pillars of the trees, he filled the steepled coon of night with shouted prayers and prophecies. Then in his evening camp beneath the half-light pillars of the trees. Evening camp. Here again it would refer to the journey of this bullock driver. He would travel for a whole day, and as night fell, he has no home to rest. He has no home to go back. He has nothing, in fact. So where would he rest? He would rest under the trees. He would rest under, as he says, that the half-lit pillars of the trees. Now, why are these half-lit? Because he doesn't have the modern facilities of electricity and other things. He lives, in the initial stages of this modern civilization, where they weren't having all these luxuries as we have in the present time. Now, what Judith Wright does here, she is telling us the struggles, the strife, the troubles that these early settlers had, or these pioneers had. But despite this, she did his best in order to make Australia a great civilization. And that is why in the earlier stanza he was compared with Moses. He filled the steepled coon of night with shouted prayers and prophecies. What he did? Steepled coon of night. Now, the steepled coon is a reference to the church, to the minaret of the church. And what he says, that during he would toil for whole day and at night he would make prayers. This shows both the sides of this pioneer. That means he was a hard worker. He worked for the betterment of the generations, but he was also close to his God. He never gave up his moral side. He would pray in the evening and work hard in the daytime. So here, what Judith Wright is again doing is showing us the character of those pioneers and is stamping a fact that those who want to be the pioneers can not only be those who run after the materialistic world or materialist things. They are the ones who balance their life properly between the spiritual side and the material side. And those who have done it in the best manner are the ones who would succeed in their lives and make a name in the history as these pioneers have done.